It's Women's History Month, so we're taking the show on the road to City Hall, where 4 of the 5 deputy mayors are women. They're the key power brokers in the city that never sleeps. The Point starts right now. The Point is on a field trip here at City Hall to talk to the 4 female deputy mayors. First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, Meera Joshi, Deputy Mayor for Operations, and Williams-Isom, Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, and Maria Torres-Springer, Deputy Mayor for Economic and Workforce Development. Ladies, first question, why public service? Go ahead.
I think, for me, it's in my blood. Really following in the footsteps of my mother, who was a social justice warrior. She did a lot of work around public health, particularly in the Black community. And I just think that part of what I'm here to do is to help move the needle for communities like the community I grew up in. I grew up in the South Bronx, and that's what I feel is my purpose on this earth.
Meera?
I hate to admit it, but I do love to problem solve, and there are a tremendous number of complex problems that we have in city government that absolutely the resolution of which improve the lives of millions. And so the opportunity to uplift people as well as exercise a discipline that I really enjoy is a calling that each time I think I will walk away from, I keep coming back.
I remember that. Ann?
I don't think it is just public service. I've been in the private sector. I have run a nonprofit and done government twice, and I think it's the concept of service. And so wherever you are, it's about the mission and being able to be here at this, I think, incredible time in the history of the city, and being able to serve in government at this moment is, I think, something that I'm very excited about.
Maria?
For me too, it's never been just about a job or even a career, but it's been a calling. I've had the well fortune of working for the last 3 mayors, and it really all starts with the fact that I view this work as trying to take luck out of the equation for hardworking families of this city. I felt that I had a lot of luck growing up, even though our family struggled. And for too many families in this city, it should not have to rely on luck. And so our work is to really run the type of programs and make the type of change that allows everyone here to really have a real chance of succeeding.
I wonder what life experiences you've had that have helped shape the public policies that you want to develop and that you are developing.
I mean, there's so many, but one example I will give is around childcare. We're all mothers, and we've all worked as well. So having the balance, is my child in care that is high quality? Am I comfortable? Can I afford it? I had my first child when I was in law school, and just trying to figure out and juggle all of those things. And we know that it, impedes women's ability to go into the workforce, to persist and excel. So that's one of the big efforts that we launched this year for our administration.
Your life experiences. I know you were once taxi and limousine commissioner.
Yes, yes. I think I would say I'm fortunate to have been brought up by 2 extremely curious parents and in an extremely diverse environment. So that twin experience of curiosity and diversity have set me constantly on the road of learning more and investigating more and trying to really understand all the facts on the ground to resolve problems and move projects ahead. And so between the Department of Investigation, the Taxi and Limousine Commission, and now the Deputy Mayor of Operations, I have so many opportunities to fulfill that need to learn as well as use it to move the city forward.
You've got a big portfolio and a very diverse one right now.
And a big heart to go along with it, and a lot of competence to go along with it to get it done. But you've heard me say this before. I think I try to design policies as if I was designing it for someone that I loved. And so if it was my child, if it was my mom at that senior center, if it was, my mom was an immigrant coming into this country, and so how does that inform the policies and the things that we do around the migrants, around mental health issues. We talk about this all the time, how it affects our families. And so I think humanizing the human in human services and health services becomes very important, and it's almost my superpower to get people to stop for a minute to think about who is it that we're serving and how should that be a reflection of the programs that we do.
Maria.
First, I have to say she certainly has one of the biggest hearts I've ever experienced, and we all benefit from that on a daily basis. You know, for me in this role as Deputy Mayor for Economic and Workforce Development, it's about molding an economy, shaping a recovery that really works for everyone. Incredibly important. And when I think about my own lived experience and my own story of my family immigrating from the Philippines a year before I was born in order to have a better life. I mean, that's the story, that's the promise, not just of this country, but of the city. And I view my job and all of our jobs is to make sure that that continues to not just be the promise, but the reality for New Yorkers trying to earn a living, raise a family, and live a better life across the 5 boroughs.
So the mayor has talked about a lot about your emotional intelligence. I wonder what that means and what you're bringing to the leadership that you're providing to New York City.
I think it's exactly what Ann said. It's that we bring all of our lived experience. We've all talked about our lived experience, and that we're centering people. We're not just looking at data. These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. We understand that these are real live New Yorkers that are depending on us. And we bring that to every single thing that we do, whatever policy, whatever initiative, whatever program, and we feel very accountable to the people of the city of New York.
Do you think women have a special ability, a quality that helps them in leadership?
Absolutely. I'm in charge of a portfolio that is the foundation of the city. 7,000 miles of street, equal number of sewer lines. That's billions of gallons of water in and out. 12 tons of trash every day. Understanding that people coming to New York and living in New York come to it from so many different places and so many different assets and so many different abilities, but they still need that foundation to work for them. So for us, the job is understanding that we have millions of perspectives that we have to meet no matter where people are in life, and we have to create that foundation that's solid, secure, and clean so they can thrive. Women, I think, have a unique ability to understand in a kaleidoscope way that there's a multitude of needs all at the same time, and meeting them actually is possible.
And you're shaking your head yes.
Well, because I'm thinking about the work that I've done around the in the subways, where on every Wednesday we get together with whether it's the NYPD and Health and Hospitals and Mira's team, and the way I run the meeting, I think shows vulnerabilities at times, humor, accountability, knowing everybody's name, making sure that I'm bringing people along, showing that it's okay if we make a mistake, admit that you make a mistake, and if it's not plan A or plan B, let's go to plan D and E. And I think there's something in the naturalness about how we role model our leadership that gives permission to other people to step up in different ways.
Maria, it seems like a sisterhood here.
It is. I was saying, and now we have power in numbers, right? So for too long, each of us has been the first or the only in different rooms.
The first or the only, that's really true.
But the ability to walk into this building and, what do we do together? We hold each other up, we laugh a lot. Sometimes we cry, but mostly we laugh. But we celebrate each other's successes. But very, very importantly, I think for New Yorkers, is that we solve problems together.
That's right.
Because they don't live their lives according to agency jurisdictions. And if we actually collaborate, then I think we're improving the lives of New Yorkers more effectively.
As a longtime observer of things that have gone on in City Hall, I don't think that's always been the case with deputy mayors. So do you think that's unique to the fact that the 4 of you are here at City Hall together?
Absolutely, and I feel so proud because I chaired the transition, and I feel, somewhat responsible for everyone being in their seats. And the mayor said very clearly, this administration is going to break down silos. You're not going to have a deputy mayor that's only focused on his or her vertical. We're going to span boundaries. We're going to lock arms. And so that's what these women do.
So we're going to have to leave it there for now, but we'll be right back in just a minute. So we're back, and I want to talk to you about the Women's Health Symposium that the mayor has asked you all to participate in, and I wonder, what's the goal?
The goal is to highlight that women's health is, one, often ignored, and two, if it is considered, we actually make all of our systems better because women then are allowed to be productive members of society rather than hampered by not having enough to support them in the health world.
So I think that the mayor surprised people, Anne, when he said it was time to end the taboo and talk candidly about the vagina and women's health.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me that question, because my mother will be watching this, so I will not be saying the V word on television. Okay, vagina. I just think that's who he is. And it's one of the things that I really love about him is that he looks at something, he's very plain speaking and how he does it, and he just has the right, you know, the right chord when people are like, this, we need to start talking about this. And we laughed about it because there's a lot of women that don't want to talk about some of these issues, whether it is about menopause, if it is about people who are having difficulty conceiving or fertility issues, or just the things that we're not supposed to talk about. And so I think he said he wants to make New York City the healthiest city for women in this country, and I feel like I love that bold sort of vision, and we're the right team, I think, to bring that about.
You know, Maria, when I went on the street to talk to people about this initiative, and they talk about all kinds of things they'd like to see done in terms of women's health, not only menopause and things like that, but also diabetes and heart disease and so many things that women face. I wonder how you feel about that.
Well, I think what he's done and what we're doing is opening a door not just to that conversation, but to what the right solutions are. And for too long, the words may have been taboo, but probably in an even more heartbreaking way, then the right solutions haven't been advanced. And so when I think about either the elders in our city or my own two daughters, they will grow up hopefully in a world and in a generation where the words are not taboo, but more importantly, we are doing something as a city to ensure that their health is protected.
You know, the thing that I thought was also striking when I talked to people was they said they thought that the reason why women's health issues weren't dealt with was because it was a male-dominated government. So I guess I'm throwing the question to you. It's obviously changed.
Absolutely. You know, if you just walk around City Hall, every picture staring down at you is a man. I think we
every
feel
picture
that.
in this room is a man.
Every picture, and yeah, everyone. And women's health, I mean, the healthcare system is designed for men. When you talk about research, clinical trials, like women have not historically been considered. And we're like half the population. So it is high time, and I think because we have such a forward-thinking mayor, because we have all these women in leadership, that we're saying we need to certainly have equal representation and access to really vital services.
But especially after the Supreme Court ruling on Roe v. Wade, it also sends an important message to women that the city's going to take it seriously. I know one of the things is to allow abortion pills to be given out at city clinics, but that's like an important thing, an important message, given what's happened nationally.
I think, I mean, Maria mentioned her young girls, and some of us have older children, but I think what's amazing is even by seeing all of us in leadership and talking about women's health so openly, that will be normal for them. They won't question whether that should or shouldn't be. We'll have gone past that moment where it's debatable. And I think that's really the stride that is so important, that this is not going to be diversity, this is going to be normal.
And I remember that day like it was yesterday, when the ruling came down, essentially overturning Roe v. Wade, and almost in about 15 minutes, almost without even talking to one another, the press conference outside had hundreds of women leaders in this administration. And I think what it proved to me, and what it continues, I think, to show to all of us, is we can't take any of this for granted. That these are hard-fought battles and wins in boardrooms, in courtrooms, and voting booths. And so this mayor's not taking that for granted. We are not taking that for granted. And we have to continue to fight for these freedoms and rights.
So Sheena, you've been working to clear the backlog for and unlocking billions for nonprofits for over 2,600 contracts. That's a big problem in New York City, and to some it seems unsolvable. Organizations like Sheltering Arms are going out of business because of it. Tell me about this.
It's absolutely solvable, and it's an example of just government not working as well as it should. And coming into the administration, we are committed to really fixing the processes and the systems that just cut off resources and opportunities. So the nonprofit backlog, we came in, there was over $6 billion that had not been paid to nonprofits. We are essentially cleared that backlog. In 12 weeks, we got through $4.2 billion. So if someone says it can't be done, it can be done. There is more work to do, but these are problems that have persisted for decades that we are coming in to fix and are solving them.
Mary, you have some tough problems. Not only do you have to find a rat's hour, which we don't have to go into, but you have to reimagine the BQE. You have to confront what's going on at the Cross Bronx Expressway and all the other things. How do you feel about all this?
So, I mean, I really appreciate the leadership of Mayor Adams for this exact point, because I'm coming to him with problems that are decades old. They've either been ignored or delayed because they're complex politically, financially, operationally, and he's not shying away from them. And so when we talk about cleaning up New York, we're not just talking about, yes, we're going to get more trash off the street. Yes, but we're also going to go and break barriers. We're going to have the world's largest organics program, and we're going to pull those food scraps out, and we're going to use our own water treatment centers to turn it into renewable energy, which we can sell, and soil. So we're not only going to take on the largest problems, we're going to try smart solutions that make a very sustainable New York City in many senses of the word.
And I have two words for you: asylum seekers.
Is that the only two words?
No, and mental health.
Oh, yeah.
You have to deal with both issues, and you've been coming up with all kinds of blueprints to try to help the city deal with these really crushing problems.
And not just blueprints, but we've been dealing with it and thinking about what's happening now, what do we want to do in the future, and sort of what are the advocacy and policy decisions that need to be made moving forward. I think, Marcia, 50,000 migrants have come to New York City. We've opened over 94 emergency shelters, 7 HERCs, and really this blueprint talks about what's the next phase as we look at steady state, and really opening a 24/7 arrival center, really looking at the legal services that we're giving to folks, because we know that the key is to get them connected to work, and really making sure that people have what they need by also creating an Office of Asylum Seeker Operations. The mental health agenda, which we announced I think a couple of months ago, but that Dr. Vassan and I have been talking about since the very beginning of the administration, I was happy that it really focuses on children and families. You know that 40% of the young people of color here in New York City have complained about anxiety or depression, and that's 30% for white youth, and really making sure that we get them what they need. We're going to be doing a really big telehealth initiative with the Department of Education for high school young people. We're going to be looking at the opioid crisis. If we didn't have COVID, it would have been the biggest public health crisis that we have right now. And then also, as you and I have talked about before, severe mental illness. So I'm very happy that we're moving forward with that work.
So Maria, we have about a minute left, but I wanted to talk to you about your plans to double the number of contracts or increase the number of contracts from women and minority-owned businesses.
It's certainly part and parcel of the blueprint that we put out about a year ago now to accelerate the recovery. And I'll just say, Marcia, that that our economy is in fact healing. I mean, we are now pretty much at pre-pandemic employment levels, which is good news, and there's a lot more work to do. You mentioned awards to MWBEs, critically important, not just because those firms are anchors for jobs in communities, but it's exactly that type of using our procurement power to provide opportunity to firms. Those are the types of strategies we have to actually implement effectively
and also important to
drive
the economy of New York City.
To drive the recovery. Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to keep the dollars here.
That's right.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have, but we will be back with more right after this show on our streaming service, CBS News New York.